When you think of a game based on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, do you think of fast-paced arcade action? Or defusing bombs? Or how about awesome boss fights? Or gathering intel? Amazing music! Or this music. And when we think of Platinum games, we tend to think of this. Rather than this. This is John from Digital Foundry, and I have some disappointing results to share with you today. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutants in Manhattan is not a good game. It's barely even a decent one, and it steps on the soft spot I have for the lovable heroes in a half shell in a big way. I knew things weren't quite right when the game first started, and I discovered that it only runs at 30 frames per second. After the absolutely smashing Transformers Devastation, loading up Turtles and discovering that it's only 30 frames per second on consoles is a pretty big slap in the face. This is the PlayStation 4 version here, by the way. Now, that's not to say that Platinum Games haven't released good 30 frames per second games, of course. Vanquish was amazing despite its frame rate, and I even loved Mad World back on the Wii. Anarchy Reigns wasn't so hot though, but you can at least see that 30 FPS does sometimes happen over at Platinum. Yet, considering the hardware here, I'm not really sure it's justified. If we jump over to the Xbox One then, we see pretty much the same thing, 30 FPS all around. It just doesn't feel fluid enough in motion considering the type of game we have here. It's even more crushing considering that the frame rate was used as an excuse for skipping out on split-screen play. Kinda Funny Games did a nice playthrough of the game recently with its producer, who revealed that the team skipped out on split-screen play due to its 60 frames per second target. Take a listen.
Actually, it's 4-player online, so we actually really wanted to do local couch co-op, but the problem is if you do, then you have to split the screen, and suddenly your 60 FPS situation gets a lot worse.
Your what situation?
Suddenly your 60 FPS situation.
I see. Of course, after playing the game, I'm not entirely sure that anyone would want to play this in local co-op. It's a repetitive game that sees you following your cyber vision around a generic map while tackling boring objectives along the way. Protect the pizza stand, defuse a bomb, read a terminal, protect an ATM, ride on the subway. You get the idea. Eventually, after all of that, you unlock the boss arena and, well, you fight the boss. Then it's off to the next stage where you pretty much do the same thing again. The real issue here though is that the game plays more like an MMO than a proper action game. You just wail on enemies in a big messy group until the life bar is depleted while waiting on cooldowns as repetitive sound bites play over and over again. These enemies just kind of attack when they feel like it, resulting in a game that lacks any kind of interesting combat dynamics. You can at least do a little grinding in certain levels, making it feel almost like a poor man's Sunset Overdrive at times, but there really isn't much more to say here. Now back to the tech, beyond the disappointing frame rate, the image quality is really nothing special here. Sure, it's 1080p, but it lacks any sort of anti-aliasing, resulting in a rather jaggy presentation overall, and this is on both Xbox One and PS4 by the way. Anisotropic filtering? Yeah, it's also absent here. Then we have the shadow maps, which are of rather low quality with obvious pixelization and no filtering of any sort. The team did at least add a basic object motion blur here to the enemies and heroes, which is kinda neat, but it's not really strong enough to offset the frame rate. The visuals themselves aren't actually that bad though. It has a nice look to it that could have worked out pretty well. Yes, the noses are strange on the turtles, but the sketched out look of the characters and environments is rather attractive. Animation though is nothing special, and lacks the intensity of something like Transformers Devastation. And that's the real shame here. This could have been another Devastation, an homage for the fans that captures the essence of the turtles that we know and love. Instead, we received the sequel to The Legend of Korra, only worse. It plays like Korra, yet runs at half the frame rate and manages to feel even less interesting. I'm a huge fan of Platinum games normally, but we all know that not every game it has produced is a winner. Just most of them. Unfortunately, when you play the Platinum Roulette, sometimes you end up with a Korra or a Turtles. It's fair to say that the budget for this game was not especially high, but even still, it feels like it could have been more. This is simply a boring game that runs worse than it should, and I'm going to have to caution people to stay clear of. Spending near full price on a 3-hour game that plays worse than just about anything else that Platinum has made really is not a good deal. Anyways, I'm sorry that I had to share the bad news with everyone, but alas, that's how it goes sometimes. If you found this cautionary video useful, however, be sure to like and subscribe. And until next time, this is John, signing off.